Good morning, students. Students, as we were discussing about sexual reproduction in flowering plants, and I discussed already that how the sexual reproduction occurs and what are the different parts of the flower or plant which are helping in the process of sexual reproduction. So today the same topic I am going to discuss in brief. I will tell you that how the sexual reproduction completes in case of the flowering plant. So students, whenever we are talking about sexual reproduction, it seems that sexual reproduction means fusion of male and female gamete. And the process of fusion of male and female gamete is called fertilization. And after fertilization, in case of the plant, seed formation occurs, and and from seeds, finally a new plant arises. So, students, I will discuss it in detail. I will tell you that the sexual reproduction in plants occurs in three major events. The first event is called pre-fertilization event. The second event is called fertilization, and the third one and the last one event is called as post-fertilization event. So, students, pre-fertilization events means the events which are taking place before fertilization. यानी फर्टिलाइजेशन से पहले के जो इवेंट है जिसको हम बोलते हैं पॉलिनेशन. ठीक है, द इनिशियली द पॉलिनेशन अकर्स, देन फर्टिलाइजेशन अकर्स, then after that post fertilization event in which the seed formation or as well as the falling of the other floral parts occurs. So today I am going to discuss about only the pre fertilization events, means I am talking about pollination. ठीक है, तो initially I want to tell you that what is pollination. So this is a very common topic. I think you are studying this topic from the earlier classes. Pollination means a process of transfer of pollen grains from anther of one stamen to the stigma of the carpel. Is it clear? तो now what is pollination? Pollination means pollen grains का release होना कहाँ? Now where the pollen grains are synthesizing? Pollen grains are synthesizing in the stamen, or at what position? Inside anther. Where inside anther? Inside anther there is a pollen sac, and inside the pollen sac the pollen grains are going to be produced. So simply we can say that the pollen grains are produced in the anther of the stamen. So from where they will released? So definitely they will release from the anther. So we can say that the transfer of pollen grain from anther of a stamen to stigma of carpel. तो किसी प्लांट के फ्लावर के एंथर से पॉलन का रिलीज होना और फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव ट्रैक के फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव स्ट्रक्चर के स्टिग्मा के ऊपर लैंड करना, दिस इज कॉल्ड पॉलिनेशन. ठीक है, तो व्हाट इज पॉलिनेशन? ट्रांसफर ऑफ पॉलन ग्रेन फ्रॉम एंथर टू स्टिग्मा इज कॉल्ड पॉलिनेशन. एंड फॉर द प्रोसेस ऑफ पॉलिनेशन वेरियस एजेंट्स आर रिक्वायर्ड. ठीक है, वेरियस एजेंट्स आर रिक्वायर्ड. Now what are these agents? I am telling you that there are few agents which are I am going to discuss. The first one agent may be wind. So might be possible the pollens are released and they are transferred from anther to stigma with the help of the wind. Here the pollinating agent is wind. This is a abiotic agent. Similarly, water can also help in some aquatic plants which are growing in the water. The pollen grains are released into the water, and along with the water current it reaches to the stigma of the flower. So here the pollinating agent is water. Similarly, some biotic agents are also responsible for the transfer of pollen from anther to stigma. There are few insects like bees, butterflies, which are helping in the process of pollination. Similarly, some birds are also like hummingbird. It is also helping in the process of the pollination. Sometimes human beings are also responsible for the pollination. So we can say that there are few agents which are helping in the to in the completion of pollination process. So this is completely pollination, and right now I am going to discuss about different types of pollination. So student, I want to tell you that there are two types of pollination which can occur in the flowering plants. The first one kind of pollination is self pollination, and the other another kind of pollination is called as cross pollination. Now initially we are talking about cell pollination. So what is cell pollination? It is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of the flower to the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant. ठीक है, in the higher classes it is once again differentiated, but I am not going to explain it right now. ठीक है, तो simply cell pollination means the transfer of pollen from one flower to the same flower, or in another words we can say that suppose there is a flower and a flower is a bisexual flower. मीन्स द सेम फ्लावर इज बेरिंग मेल एज वेल एज द फीमेल सेक्सुअल ऑर्गन्स। मीन्स उसी फ्लावर के पास स्टामेन भी है और सेम फ्लावर के पास स्टिग्मा भी है यानी पिस्टिल भी है। तो उसी फ्लावर के स्टामेन के एंथर से निकल के उसी फ्लावर के पिस्टिल के ऊपर लैंड कर रहे हैं, तब भी सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन है। इफ़ द प्लांट इज सेम बट फ्लावर्स आर डिफरेंट, अगर प्लांट सेम है बट फ्लावर्स आर डिफरेंट है, बट फ्रॉम वन फ्लावर ऑफ द सेम प्लांट द पॉलन इज रिलीज इनटू द अनदर फ्लावर ऑफ द सेम प्लांट, देन तब भी क्या है, सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन है। यानी टू कंडीशंस आर देयर, आइदर द फ्लावर इज द सेम और two different flower of the same plant. So this is called self pollination. It occurs mostly in the peas or China rose plant. Now there are some advantages of self pollination and there are also some disadvantages of self pollination. I am going to discuss both of them. Self pollination in bisexual flowers ensures continuity of the race, means there are great chances of pollination are there. Means when the self pollination is going to be occur, the out of 100 we can say that 99% of chances are there the pollen will released from the anther and land into the stigma. So means continuity of species or race is quite possible, or probability is quite high. Second, it helps to preserve the parental characters as the gametes from the same flowers are involved. So I mean to say that there are rare chances of variation in case of the self pollination, because the plant is same, all the genetic characters are same. So from the same plant the pollen is going to be released and landing on the same plant stigma, so there are rare chances of variation. So we can prevent the parental characters into the offspring. ठीक है. And third, if the self pollination is going to be occur, so there is no need of producing nectar for the birds or insects as a reward, and there is no need for the senescent scent or order or good or bad order for a flower, and there is no need for a colorful flower. Okay, these are some advantages, while there are some disadvantages too. Now what are these disadvantages? First disadvantage is that since the parent is same, means the same from a single plant the reproduction process is going to be take place, so the chances of variation is not possible, or there are very less possibilities are there that the variation will occur. So new varieties cannot be produced with the help of the self pollination. Second, if there is a parent and the parent is suffering from particular genetic disorder, so definitely the offspring is going to be produced similar to the parent, so genetic order will directly pass to the offspring. And finally I want to tell you that if the self pollination occurs in most of the times, okay, it can lead to the loss of vigor and vitality of the species, means it is also called as inbreeding depression. So it is responsible for inbreeding depression and might be possible after some generation. The vigor means the speciality of that particular species, or sometimes we can say that the plants may become infertile too. Okay, so these are some disadvantages of self pollination. Now I am coming to the next point, cross pollination. Cross pollination means transfer of pollen grain from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of two different plants. Now here the flowers are different and plants are different. ये यानी कि एक प्लांट के एंथर से पॉलन निकल रहा है और किसी दूसरे प्लांट के फ्लावर के स्टिग्मा के ऊपर लैंड कर रहा है, मीन्स द ट्रांसफर ऑफ पॉलन फ्रॉम anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of the different plant. And it is more common in the most of the flowering plants. ठीक है, most pollination, क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन मोस्टली अकर्स विद द हेल्प ऑफ द टू टाइप्स ऑफ एजेंट्स. तो यहाँ पर मैंने पहले जिक्र किया था कि यहाँ पर दो मेजर एजेंट्स की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन के लिए. सम आर बायोटिक एजेंट्स एंड सम आर एबायोटिक एजेंट्स. एंड व्हाट आर बायोटिक एजेंट्स? यू ऑलरेडी नो दैट बायोटिक एजेंट्स may be birds, may be insects, or may be humans, while abiotic agents may be wind as well as water. Now similar to the self pollination, there are some advantages or some disadvantages of cross pollination too. Initially I am talking about the advantages. The first advantage, क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन रिजल्ट्स इन हेल्दियर ऑफस्प्रिंग. यानी कि जो ऑफस्प्रिंग पैदा होती है क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन से वो कंपैरेटिवली मोर हेल्दियर होती है. सेकंड, सीड्स प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन हैव मच बेटर जर्मिनेशन कैपेसिटी और जर्मिनेटिंग कैपेसिटी. यानी कि जो क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन के बाद जो सीड प्रोड्यूस होते हैं उनके पास जर्मिनेटिंग कैपेसिटी ज़्यादा होती है. एज आई मेंशन अर्लियर कि अगर सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन लगातार करोगे तो इन ब्रीडिंग डिप्रेशन आता है जिसकी वजह से इनफर्टिलिटी तक आ सकती है. ठीक है. थर्ड, मोर अबंडेंट एंड वाइबल सीड्स आर प्रोड्यूस। तो क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन में जो सीड्स का नंबर प्रोड्यूस होता है वो क्वाइट हायर होता है। लास्ट, वेरिएशंस आर इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बाय क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन, सो देयर आर गुड चांसेस ऑफ इवोल्यूशन टू, क्योंकि वेरिएशन आएंगे तो द प्लांट्स इज एबल टू अडेप्ट इटसेल्फ according to the environmental condition, and the chances are there that the if the great amount of variation is coming, so might be possible that a new species can originate from it, and we can refer it as a evolution। ठीक है। सिमिलर टू एडवांटेजेस देयर आर सम डिसएडवांटेजेस टू। पहला डिसएडवांटेज तो यही है कि फॉर दिस क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन द प्लांट रिक्वायर्स पॉलिनेटिंग एजेंट्स। ठीक है, एक्सटर्नल एजेंसीज आर रिक्वायर्ड, आइदर बायोटिक एजेंसीज और एबायोटिक एजेंसीज आर रिक्वायर्ड। नाउ the second disadvantage is that there is less probability that the pollen will reach into the right type of stigma। ठीक है, so the plants has to produce greater number of pollen grains for the process of pollination, क्योंकि हो सकता है कि कुछ pollen grain इधर उधर चले जाएं। तो to reduce this probability the number of pollen grains are produced in a higher क्वांटिटी। सो आई एम कंक्लूडिंग माई सेल्फ, आई होप सो कि आपको टी फर्टिलाइजेशन इवेंट्स के अंदर पॉलिनेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आया होगा। एंड स्टिल इफ़ यू आर फीलिंग एनी डिफिकल्टी तो यू कैन कंसर्न विद मी, एंड टुमारो वंस अगेन आई विल मीट यू विद अ न्यू वीडियो। टिल देन, थैंक यू, बाय बाय एंड हैव अ नाइस डे।